Alright guys, got a 2013 Hyundai Elantra here. Quarter panel repair. This car was backed into in a parking lot in a hit and run. Gonna have to pull actually gonna push from the inside. We gotta push the inner fender or the inner wheelhouse portion back out. You can see it's pushed in a pretty good bit. And recreate this body line here. First thing is going to be to wash this area, the quarter panel and the door especially. That's what I'm going to paint. I'm going to paint the quarter, blend the color up the rail, and then blend the door also. Alright, I've got it sprayed down with a degreaser. I'm letting that soak. I've also got the fuel door open because I need to be able to get inside there to clean it. I'm going to paint the fuel door, and I need to be able to tape off the inside of it, so I want tape to stick. So that all needs to be clean also. I'm going to put a jack underneath it right here, so I can lift it and get inside the wheel well. I'm going to clean the wheel well out because I'm going to have to put tape of paper back behind there when I get ready to paint it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean all this at one time so it's ready. When I go to put the tape on everything later, it'll stick. Okay, I've already started on the wheel well, but you can see how dirty it is under there. Tape will never stick to that, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it now. Mostly just on the outside, a few inches. Clean. I'll take the wheel off to do the repair, but I want to leave the wheel on for now in case I have to move the car. Just going to go over with a Vogue sponge. Going all the way across the rail. And take the color up to here, so I can blend the door all the way across, all the way to the hood with the clear. I'll probably blend the clear in down in here so I don't have to paint all the way across under the rocker. That doesn't get near as much sun as this, so a little bit of a spot repair in here won't really be a problem. Once I get the door trim off, I'll come back and I'll wash all this in here and behind the handle. Any other places I can't get right now. I'm just trying to clean it to get started. Paint's broken all the way inside here, so I'm actually going to have to paint the fuel door with it off the car so I can get all the way in here with the color and the clear. Clean a little bit of the bumper off, so I'm going to have to take this. It needs to be clean. Taillight will be taken out later. Can you take it out before I wash it or I'll get water in the car? Clean a little bit of the trunk so it'll get taped. This is pretty much a general rule on any car. You do this before you even get started. After I clean this and dry, I'll go over with a prep solvent, get anything that's solvent based. I'm only going to wash this section because I'll have to wash the car when it's finished anyway. It's a waste of time to do it now. All right, I'll be back when I get ready to do the push on the quarter panel to get the wheel well back out. Here's a close-up of where the paint's broken on the inside. I'm gonna have to paint all the way to this seam where the quarter panel is spot welded into the fuel neck filler. So I'll probably have to take this off, pretty sure. I just paint it off the car and put it on after I'm finished. You can see just how far in the quarter panel got pushed, right in here. This is what it should look like. I'm going to eyeball it at first, get it really close, then I'll come back and measure where I need to stop with it, right in here. I'll get it out to where it looks right, then I'll double check it. May use the tram gauge, may just use a plumb bob. I can hang a plumb bob from right here down to past the wheel and measure the distance that it overlaps the wheel. That'll be next. Okay, the very next step will be to take all the trim off. That'll be the belt molding on the window, the door handle, fuel door, tail light, and I may have to drop the bumper to get the tail light out. Just depends on how it's mounted. Bumper may be on top of it. That's usually my next step before I do anything else, so that I can have plenty of time to get parts for it if I end up breaking anything. That way I'll know on the front end everything I've got to get ordered and get on the way here while I'm doing the repair. I'll be back when I've got all that off and show you what all I was able to get off and what I had to take off to get everything out. Alright, I've got the drip rail molding taken off. Here's what it looks like underneath the clips. It's just got a little raised area here for the clip to snap onto. All the way down, just lifting it off slowly and popped right off. Here's what the clips look like. You just lifted right off of that. If I can get it to focus on it. The piece that's in the ditch on the roof snaps right into the center of that clip, all the way down. They're all the same. Got the fuel door out, just unbolted it, 2 screws right there. I had to take the fuel cap off with it, and I just took the tether off of the fuel lid, put it back on to keep it from gassing out in here, smelling the place up. Next will be the tail light. One thing I like to do on the tail light, if I don't know if I have to take the bumper off or not, what I'll do is I'll take plastic trim tool and a light, and I'll shine in between here, and I'll pry the light away from the bumper a little bit just to see how it mounts. Every now and then there's, like on a Honda, you'll have a bracket in the taillight this snaps into, or even like a Toyota. It looks like this will come out with the bumper still on the car. So I'm going to do that. Eventually I'll pull it off here so I can sand behind this edge for the paint. But for now I'm just going to get the light out, and then I'll move on to the door trim. Okay, tail light was super simple. It took about 30 seconds. There's a little access panel inside the trunk. I'll show you that real quick. There's just a little flap in here that opens up, gives you access to the connector and to the nuts that are on these studs. There's a little locator here. It slides onto this clip. There's only three studs on it. One connector that goes through a grommet. Came right out, no problem. Okay, the bumper's loose. 2 push clips here. Phillips head screw here. 3 more push clips. 2 here, 1 here. 3 screws, the wheel well here, here, and here. I had to reach in here. This one popped out, but I had to reach in here and pry these tabs up between the bumper and the body to get these 5 clips to release. I may drop it a little bit further when I get ready to paint it, but at least now I know that I'm not going to break anything that I'm going to have to order. So I'm going to not worry about that till I get ready to actually do the paint. Next thing is going to be the interior trim panel, so I can get the door handle out and the belt molding here. I'll be back when that's off. Another quick tip is close this latch when you've got the trunk open, working in here to keep the light off, and you can leave it open indefinitely. You don't have to worry about the light. I just got it clicked on the first catch. Okay, I think I just set a world record for getting the door handle out and the window belt molding. There's a screw on this end through this hole, Phillips head. Another one through that hole right there. And then it just started lifting back here on the end. You can see where the clips were, there, and all the way down. 5 or 6 of them. Just snapped right off like nothing. And here's what they look like. Just came right off. Throw that in the trunk with the rest of the parts. Door handle. Plug here came out, 8mm screw right there. It's not captive, so when you take it out, be careful not to drop it in the door. You will have to take this panel off. I pulled it out, put a magnet in there, pushed it through from the other side, had it stuck to the magnet. This is what you'll get out. Once you take that screw out of it, this little end trim piece here will come right out. And then once you have that out, what you do is you'll pull back. This is typical of most of these cars. Most any car these days. You pull back on the handle and then pull it out of the other end. Done. And usually you'll have a gasket on either end. This one does not have a gasket on this end, but there is a little rubber trim gasket here. I'll have to take that out. Then I can stuff paper or tape in these holes. I can paint it just like that. I don't want to take anything off the inside of the door. Major time saver there. You may be wondering how you open the door without the handle, but you can see right in here, there's the catch that actually gets actuated with the handle. So you can just reach in. Now it is greased, so you don't want to open it and then touch the door when you're ready to paint, but you can access the inside of the car again, just like this. Just reach in, pull it just like the handle would, you're good. That's just about it. I'm going to have to get this piece off here. Hopefully that will be just as simple as the rest of it. And I think that'll have it whipped. Okay, this piece was a perfect example of why I do this first thing. Everything here is blind. You can't see anything behind it. I pried it open in the back just to see what's going on in there. Got these clips and 3 holes, and there's just no way to get it out. You can't slide it out because of the way these are oriented. That one you have to slide the piece up. That would be forward, and this would have to go actually down. There's no way to just slide the piece off the car. They should make it that way, but they don't for some reason. So basically just stuck the trim tool behind it to get it open. While I had that in there, I put a spreader behind here, protect this edge, and put this piece, this flathead screwdriver in here and twisted until I work the clip out, both of those. I'll have to come in here and probably just touch this up because I'm just going to clear up here. I'm not going to have any color, so I'll just put some touch-up paint on all this. And I'll have to get some more of these clips. I think I was able to save the trim panel, but I've got to get at least, I think the bottom clip's okay, probably 2 clips. Probably get them all because I've got to have this foam seals it to the body. Probably just go ahead and get all 3. But that's why I do this at the beginning, so I know everything I've got to get on the way. Or either order at the dealer and try to figure out a way to go get it. I think that's about it on the D trim. See you later for the body work. I'm going to give you a view of the inside of the wheel well here to kind of get an idea. There's not an actual pinch weld on this thing. It's just rolled around, and it's got a really, really thin edge to it. That's why it bent in. But I'm going to try to slowly push this with a rubber tipped porta-power to save all that seam sealer. I don't want to pull it with a slide hammer or beat it out. I want to try to save that seam sealer. If I can do a good enough job of that, then it'll never look like it's ever been repaired. I'm going to set up the porta-power and give you a shot of that push in just a second. Okay, here's my first attempt at pushing this out. I've got a broad radius rubber tip on the porta power here. I've got a plastic Bondo spreader on the frame so I can protect the finish there. I couldn't get a footing on it, it'd be too long that way. I can barely get it in here like this. I'm going to push this out in multiple places, try to get that radius back in it, get this wave out. I'll set you up on the tripod to watch that. Okay, just watch that come out. Okay, it's starting to wrinkle there. I'm going to have to move over a little bit. I moved over about an inch or so towards the back of the car. And push there. Alright, now I'm going to go a little further up with it. And push it in a few different places. I don't want to push too far in one place. Get you a different angle over here. You can't push right here because the inner liner, or the double wall back there for the wheelhouse is got a second layer there where I can't push directly on that. I can push some of it out because it is pushed in with it. I'm going to work all this out with studs and then work this edge back smooth and make it match the other side. I think that's good for the porta power now. Be back when I get that ready for studs. Alright, I'm going to wipe this down with prep saw, get all the oil off of it. I actually was holding the shaft of the hydraulic ram and got oil on my hand and then touched this, so I was going to do this anyway because once I go to grind it, I don't want to grind any oil into the panel. I'll be grinding the finish off all through here. I'll mark it with a marker so that I stay within that area that I want to do. I don't go any further than I have to. Okay, I've got it masked off to grind. I've got paper covering the door and the bumper from Sparks, and also the gasoline cap here in this area, just in case I get a spark in there and for some reason there's a little bit of a vapor. Got a blanket up here covering the glass on the rear and the door. Got a 60 grit disc for this. Cubitron 2 actually. 3M. I've got it outlined in white where I don't know if you can see that. A little bit of a white outline around the creases. Down here I'm going to grind all this area out, just to bare metal for now. May have to go a little further when I sand it, but I think I can grind in this area and be done with that. The rest of it will be 80 grit and then on out. I'll be back when that's done. Alright, I'm going to actually start on the outer edges of the dent and start pulling it up. You don't want to go right into the center of the low spot, because if you start pulling that, it's going to tighten up and you're going to pull a high spot right in there. I'm going to put a few pins right on the other side of this crown right here, on either side. Run a couple here, like one here and here, and then a couple down here, 2 or 3. And I'll pull those out and tap the crowns back in, and I'll work my way into the center, and then down this way, and then I'll come back, work my way in from the outside to the inside up here above the body line. And then I'll pull directly on this body line. I'll mark it with a Sharpie right there where I know it needs to be. Pull that out. Give me a nice high edge there. Alright, I think I'm going to have to use the slide hammer on most of these. The stud buddy that I normally use, that I would rest against this pinch weld, which there is not one on this one, it's just way too flimsy along this edge. I don't trust it. I'll probably end up pushing this in. So I'm just going to lock this onto it. Pull these out a little bit. Then I'll tap the crown in while I hold some pressure on it. Here's the crown in here. I'm going to get on the back end of the stud if I can get the hammer to it. Go as far as I can go on the stud and not come off of it. Pull out, hold some pressure out, tap the crown in. Be careful, this may come off, so keep this from where it won't hit you in the chest if the weld breaks. Work my way down. Staying on the back end of the stud. So I can get the hammer underneath here. Alright, I'll put some more down this way, work my way down. Same thing over here. Be back when that's done. Okay, here's a look after the first attempt. It's fairly straight, but I'm gonna have to cut all these off to go back and get spots I can't get to now. Then I'll work on the body line. I'll show you that in a second. All right, usually I can take the vice grips and grab the stud and twist it off, but I actually started to pull holes in the panel, so I cut every one off with a pair of wire cutters here. I'll come back and grind it flat so I don't pull holes in the panel. I might try to get the welder out and just fill those in. I can put fiberglass over that, which I'm going to start the repair with anyway, but I'll decide later what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean this all up and go pull the rest of the low spots and show you the finished product.